Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went in there? Or maybe you've misplaced your keys, your glasses, or, let's be honest, your coffee. Again, if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the thing. Just because you're over 60 doesn't mean memory loss is guaranteed. It's not some timer that goes off once you hit a certain age. It's more like a garden. If you water it, care for it, and pull the weeds, it stays vibrant. Neglect it, and well, you know how that goes. That's what we're talking about today. Your brain, your memory, and most importantly, how to protect it without gimmicks, without expensive pills, and without overwhelming you with rules you'll forget tomorrow anyway. What I'm going to share with you are 5 ridiculously simple habits that can genuinely help you stay sharp, focused, and mentally alive as you age. These are things you can start doing today, even right after watching this video. Let's not waste time. Let's get right into it. Because if you're like me, the longer I wait, the more likely I am to forget what I was about to do. So, let's start with the first one, and I know this might surprise you. Stop multitasking. We were sold this lie that multitasking is a superpower, that doing 5 things at once makes you more productive. Maybe it worked in your 30s or 40s when your brain was firing on all cylinders, but after 60, multitasking doesn't help your memory. It actually chips away at it. Every time you switch from one task to another, your brain has to reset. And that switching, it drains your focus, scatters your thoughts, and makes it harder to remember any one thing clearly. Think about it. You're watching the news, scrolling your phone, replying to a message, and someone starts talking to you from across the room. You nod, maybe even respond. And 5 minutes later, you can't remember a single detail of that conversation. Not because you're losing your memory, but because your attention was split in 5 different directions. Want to improve your memory? Start doing one thing at a time. Really do it. Give it your full attention. Whether it's reading, cooking, talking to a friend, treat it like it matters. This habit alone sharpens your focus, improves recall, and trains your brain to actually absorb what's happening. It's like switching from a blurry photo to high definition. Everything becomes clearer when you stop trying to juggle. Now, let's talk about something a bit more physical. But don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to hit the gym or lift heavy weights. The second habit is something so natural, so old school, and yet so powerful that most people overlook it completely: daily movement. Notice I didn't say exercise. I said movement. There's a big difference. You don't need to sweat buckets or sign up for a boot camp. You just need to move, on purpose, every day. Walk, stretch, garden, dance in your kitchen. Movement gets blood flowing to your brain, and blood brings oxygen. That oxygen, that's brain food. It nourishes your memory centers and literally keeps the neurons alive and firing. You know what science says? People over 60 who move regularly, not run marathons, just move, show slower brain aging and better memory retention than those who sit most of the day. Even a 15-minute walk can light up your brain more than a crossword puzzle. And no, this isn't about burning calories. It's about keeping your brain awake, active, and connected to your body. And here's a tip: don't make it a chore. Don't treat walking like a punishment. Make it joyful. Walk with a friend. Listen to music from your youth, the kind that makes you want to strut a little. Or walk in silence and just breathe. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the rhythm of your steps. You're not just exercising your legs. You're tuning your brain. There's something beautiful about this stage in life. You're not rushing anymore. You get to be intentional. You get to slow down and still win. And that's what makes these habits work. You're not just ticking boxes. You're choosing to take care of yourself, one step, one task, one moment at a time. Memory loss isn't a monster hiding around the corner. It's something you can push back against every day with small choices. Choosing to focus, choosing to move, choosing to treat your brain like something worth protecting. And if those sound too simple, good. That means they're doable. That means you can start now. Right now? Now, let's keep this momentum going, because there's another habit maybe the most underrated one that almost nobody talks about, but it can completely change how your brain functions day to day. And it's something most people over 60 have stopped doing without even realizing it. Learning new things. I don't mean going back to school or memorizing useless trivia. I mean actually challenging your brain with something unfamiliar, something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable, even a little frustrated. That frustration, that's growth. That's your brain rewiring itself, building new connections. That's how memory gets stronger, not by staying in your comfort zone, but by nudging the edges just a little each day. Now I get it. You've got your routines. You know what you like. Maybe you've already read all the books you ever wanted to read or watched every classic movie worth watching. But ask yourself, when was the last time you did something for the first time? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be something as simple as learning a few phrases in another language, trying to cook a dish you've never made, picking up a musical instrument, even if you only get as far as 2 notes. That effort, it's mental exercise. It's brain sweat. It's the cognitive version of lifting weights. And here's the kicker. When you learn something new, you don't just improve your memory. You also boost your confidence, your mood, and even your social life. People who keep learning tend to stay more curious, more connected, more awake to the world. You become more than someone keeping up. You're someone evolving, refusing to fade out. Let me give you a real-life example. There's this guy I know, Jack. He's 73, retired plumber, never used a computer in his life. But last year, he decided to take an online class about World War II history, just because he liked old war movies. First few weeks, it was a mess. He couldn't figure out Zoom, didn't know how to mute himself, but he stuck with it. By month 3, he was emailing classmates. He was debating timelines in the chat. The man had a notebook full of notes like a college freshman. And you know what happened? His daughter told me she stopped worrying about his forgetfulness. He wasn't losing things anymore. He was telling stories, asking questions, remembering names. Not because he found some magic pill, but because he started feeding his brain something real again. That's what learning does. It gives your brain a reason to keep firing. But let's pause here for a second, because I know what some of you might be thinking. I'm too old for that. Or, it's too late to teach this old dog new tricks. Let me tell you something, and I mean this. That's nonsense. You're not too old. You're just out of practice. Think about all the things you've learned in your lifetime. You didn't come out of the womb knowing how to drive, raise kids, fix things, survive heartbreak, or build a life. You figured it all out. You adapted. You learned. You can still learn. And the more you do, the more your memory will thank you. So here's the invitation. Pick one thing you've never done and try it this week. Just one. Maybe it's sketching. Maybe it's using your non-dominant hand to brush your teeth. Maybe it's finally figuring out what all those buttons on your TV remote actually do. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep showing your brain that it's still alive. Now that we've talked about attention, movement, and learning, you're already stacking some serious tools against memory loss. You're not waiting around hoping things get better. You're stepping into your power. You're telling your brain, hey, I'm not done with you yet. And that right there, that mindset, is already part of the magic. Because staying sharp isn't about avoiding aging. It's about aging like you mean it. Now let's keep going, because there's something else that happens every single day that can quietly damage your memory, and most people never realize just how bad it is. It's poor sleep. And no, I don't just mean getting fewer hours. I mean the kind of sleep that feels broken. You wake up tired. You toss and turn. You wake up at 3 a.m. and stare at the ceiling like it owes you answers. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. But here's the truth. Bad sleep isn't just annoying. It's a full-on attack on your memory. When you sleep, your brain isn't resting. It's actually cleaning house. It clears out toxins, processes what you learned that day, and files memories where they belong. If you cut that short, your brain doesn't finish the job. That's when you start forgetting names, misplacing words, repeating stories without meaning to. Sleep is like pressing save on your thoughts. Without it, things just don't stick. Now, the good news is you don't need to be a sleep scientist to fix this. It's not about perfection, it's about rhythm. Your brain loves routine. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, yes, even weekends, helps reset your internal clock. This clock controls not just sleep, but also focus, digestion, even your mood. And another thing, cut the screens before bed. I know, you're just watching the news or scrolling through photos. But that blue light messes with your melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to shut down. Try swapping the screen for a book, or soft music, or just sit in silence for 10 minutes and breathe. Also, watch the caffeine. I know some of you swear by your evening cup of coffee or tea, but your brain doesn't forget it's in your system. Even if you fall asleep, caffeine messes with the quality of your sleep. So if memory matters to you, consider switching to herbal tea or just water in the evening. And here's something most people forget. Your sleep actually starts in the morning. Getting sunlight early in the day, yes, just 10 to 15 minutes, signals your brain that the day has begun. That helps your body create the hormones it needs to wind down later. So go outside. Walk to the mailbox. Stand by a sunny window. That light is medicine for your brain. Sleep doesn't have to be complicated, but it does have to be respected. It's one of the biggest gifts you can give your brain and one of the easiest to overlook. So now you've got 4 powerful habits. You're focusing on one task at a time. You're moving your body every day. You're challenging yourself with something new. You're protecting your sleep like it's sacred. Each of these builds on the next. They don't work in isolation, they work like a team. And together, they create the kind of mental environment where memory isn't just preserved, it's sharpened. But we're not done yet, because there's one final habit that ties all of these together. It's not about what you do alone, but how you connect to others. This last one might surprise you. It's conversation. Real, meaningful connection, not small talk. Not just nodding while someone else rambles on. I'm talking about genuine human interaction, the kind where you actually listen, respond, laugh, disagree, remember. And I know this one can feel tricky. Maybe you're not seeing people as much as you used to. Maybe your circle has gotten smaller over the years. That's normal. But here's the kicker. When you don't talk regularly, really talk, your brain starts to slow down. Conversation activates memory, language, attention, empathy, all in one shot. It's like the ultimate mental workout. Even something as simple as calling a friend to catch up or chatting with your neighbor about the weather can spark parts of your brain that stay quiet all day. The act of searching for the right words, following a story, responding with your own, that's how your brain practices memory in real time. And here's the beautiful part. Connection also feeds emotional health. You're not just fighting memory loss, you're fighting loneliness, depression, and apathy. Studies keep showing it. People who talk more, remember more. They also live longer. It doesn't need to be deep, but it does need to be real. So if you've gone a whole day without speaking out loud to another person, that's your sign. Call someone. Walk into town. Ask a question at the store. Comment on a video. Find a group. Doesn't have to be a big one. Even 2 people who meet once a week to talk about books, life, the past, or what's going on in the world, that's memory medicine. Some folks start weekly Zoom calls with old friends. Others volunteer at a local center just to be around conversation again. Some write letters or voice messages. It's not about the method, it's about the engagement. When you use your voice, your story, your personality, you remind your brain who you are. And let me tell you, that's something worth preserving. So let's take a breath and look at where we are. You've got 5 simple but powerful habits now working in your favor. You're training your attention. You're moving your body every day, even if just a little. You're learning something new, not perfectly, but consistently. You're guarding your sleep like the treasure it is. And you're connecting with people, not for likes or applause, but for your mind. Here's what I want you to know. You don't have to accept that memory loss is inevitable. You don't have to feel embarrassed when you forget things. You're not broken. You're human. And you still have so much life, clarity, and strength in you. Will you forget a name sometimes? Of course. Will you walk into a room and ask yourself what you were doing? That's part of the package. But those moments don't define you. What defines you is how you respond. You can choose to give up, or you can fight back with small, consistent, honest habits. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay awake. Stay curious. Stay alive inside. And if you're watching this right now, you already are. You already care. That matters. So now, I want to hear from you. What's one thing you're going to try this week? Is it reading something new? Taking a short walk? Calling a friend you haven't spoken to in years? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If this video made you feel motivated, or even just reminded you that you're not alone in this journey, hit that like button and subscribe for more practical ways to protect your health, your happiness, and your independence. Because this isn't about surviving after 60. It's about thriving. Your story's not over. Not even close. Here's to remembering the life you still get to live. And if you're still with me, sitting in your chair, maybe sipping tea, maybe nodding a little to yourself, that tells me something. You're not here just for tips. You're here because you still care. About your mind. About your future. About staying sharp not just for the sake of remembering where you put your keys, but for remembering who you are. That's powerful. See, we live in a world that's obsessed with youth. But no one talks enough about the strength that comes with experience, with wisdom, with knowing what really matters. And if you've made it past 60, you know better than anyone. It's not the flashy stuff that keeps you going. It's the quiet habits, the ones you do when no one's watching. Maybe you're wondering right now, is it too late for me to start? I hear that question a lot. And here's my answer. No, it's never too late to invest in your brain. Not at 60. Not at 70, not at 90. In fact, the older you are, the more your brain needs you to step in and say, I'm still here. Let's keep growing. Your brain isn't done, not unless you decide it is. Every new walk you take, every phone call you make, every story you tell, every puzzle you finish, every book you pick up, those are small acts of defiance. You're telling the world, I'm not fading, I'm fighting. Because staying mentally sharp isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's not about never forgetting. It's about never giving up. And that's something you've already proven, just by showing up today. Now, I want you to do something, not just think about it. Close your eyes for a second. Take a breath. Imagine yourself a year from now, same person, but sharper, more confident, still laughing at your own jokes. Still remembering the names of your grandkids. Still telling stories that light up a room. That version of you? You can get there. It starts with these 5 habits, but it continues with your attitude. Be the kind of person who says, I may be older, but I'm not done growing. Be the kind of person who starts conversations, not ends them. Who learns something new just to prove you can. Who walks into a room with purpose, even if you forget why you walked in 5 seconds later. Because let's be honest, we've all done that. Let's laugh at it. Let's move on. Let's keep going. You've got time. You've got power. You've got more to give. And if you're still not sure, just remember this. Your brain listens to you. Talk to it like it matters. Treat it like it can heal, grow, change, because it can. Now go out there. Try one thing today. Just one. And tomorrow, do it again. Not because someone told you to, but because you want to remember. You want to stay here, fully present, for as long as you can. And if this video helped you feel even a little bit stronger, more hopeful, more ready to take action, then share it with someone else who needs that same reminder. A friend, a sibling, a neighbor who's quietly struggling but hasn't said it out loud. We don't have to age in silence. We don't have to face memory loss like it's some kind of punishment. We can meet it with knowledge, with action, with stubborn hope. So here's to you, to your curiosity, to your future, to your brain. Still strong, still working, still yours. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay real, stay you.